Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a transformation coach, I'm an energy healer, I'm a shamanic practitioner, and I'm the founder of the Transformation Center, which is based in Westport, Connecticut. So we're putting our contact info up. You can check out the website. There's lots of events we host, classes and workshops. You can also schedule an individual healing session or coaching session with me. You know, we just love to hear from you, and we welcome beginners on the path. So if you have any questions, and I also do free 30-minute consultations on the phone. So you're welcome to schedule one of those. And it's all about you. We're here to serve you, find out, help you become aware of who you really are. That's the really purpose of the whole thing, the Transformation Center. That's the goal. Yes. It's
a beautiful mission.
Yes. So thank you for being here today. And I am honored on Conscious Conversations to have Sue Broudy as my guest. Welcome, Sue.
Hello, Katie.
Yeah, so
and
this is great.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, so, I think I met you a few years ago when you were doing a sound bath up at the Angel Wing.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, that was a wonderful experience.
That was a while ago.
It was. Was it before COVID, maybe?
Yeah.
No, not that long.
Okay.
Anyway, but
I'm still up there.
You're still up there. Yeah.
Once or twice a month. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So I really am interested in everything that you do. I'm going to read a little bit about you before we get started.
Thank you.
Because our audience doesn't know you yet. Yes. So we're going to put up Sue's contact info as well, and you can connect with her. So I love this. Sue is a wayshower and a truth seeker. That really feels like who you are. Totally does. And she expresses herself through various endeavors as a singer and songwriter, as a sound healing practitioner, which I was fortunate enough to experience, and children's storybook scribe. And I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that. She carries attunements for how do you say it? Usui Reiki Master Level.
Yes.
And 13th octave Lahu Chi energy.
Yes.
Okay. She studied with Linda Dillon and the Council of Love. Awesome. And she also serves as a certified end-of-life doula teacher and speaker.
Yes.
And she's been ordained in the Melchizedek.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
The Order of Melchizedek.
So I want to hear about that too.
I can actually marry people.
Oh.
Although I've only done it once, but I can actually marry people.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And conduct funeral services and things like that. Ceremony.
Okay. Yes. And so that's her website, SueBroudy.com. So, wow. So how long have you been doing all this, and what came first?
I've been weird my whole life. I was that person in the family that was different. And somewhere around 14 or 15, I started to question authority. That's it. I started to question what everybody told me I should or shouldn't do or can or can't. I was a rebellious teenager, and I said, wait a minute, why can't it be done this way? Wait a minute, what's the real truth of that? Are you fibbing to me? I used to be able to tell as a high schooler when somebody was either telling me the truth or not telling me the truth, energetically, but I didn't know it then.
Right.
I just felt like, I don't like you because you're not truthful.
Yeah, you just didn't quite know why or how.
I didn't fit in with the norm of what was happening in the 70s, even though there was a lot of free love, there was a lot of free information. I've just always known it, that I'm a little different.
Yeah, so we probably grew up around the same time.
Yes.
So was that difficult?
Yes, sometimes.
I
hid it.
Oh, you
hid
hid it.
A lot. Yes,
okay.
Of course, because you want to fit in as a kid.
Right. Well, what about your family?
Rules. And I just rebelled. And I went out and I sought, and I am still to this day a seeker. I need to know the truth of things. I need to know why it is that way, and why does it have to be that way. I ask questions all the time. I question authority all the time.
Yeah.
It's just who I am.
Well,
now I'm out of the closet,
Yes.
I own it now. I'm a woman of a certain age. I own it, and I am honored of the journey, and it's still going. It's still ongoing.
Oh, yeah. The journey never ends.
Isn't it?
Right.
You're still
Totally.
discovering things about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And
standing in your power.
Yes, but I think we're fortunate now that, the world has also shifted.
Yes.
So we're not outliers anymore.
No, and that's a good thing.
That's a great
because
thing.
we all come in with this divine, I call it the divine blueprint. We all come in this way, but we forgot.
Yes.
And it's trained and taught out of us that intuition isn't valid, that sensing if you're well or not well isn't real.
Mm-mm.
Because the medical profession wants it to be real with the science and intuition and the knowing. We all have the ability, every single one of us.
Right.
Some of us lean in towards it, you and me, for example, and some of us go, no, that's uncomfortable. No, I'll just stay right. I'm good. Thank you. It's okay. It's all okay. We're all aware of it. Some of us participate, some of us don't.
Right, and I think it's also a matter of maybe being ready to some degree, because you can't force yourself or anyone to be aware of something that they don't want to be aware of.
You are absolutely right. You can't fix or change.
No.
I've tried, and I have horribly failed.
Same.
So life lessons, like just let it be.
Yeah.
You do you. It's all good. We're all going to get there together because we are all connected. We will.
We are all connected. We're all one.
Yes.
And that's beautiful. And I think that, the other thing that I love about this work is that everything that we do, for ourselves to clear out old, limiting beliefs or patterns that aren't serving us, all of that also helps everyone else that we're with.
I'm glad you're saying that. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That is a truth to me. If I heal, so will you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's all good if we end up being aware enough to do a little bit of the work to clear out those limiting or lack in limitation and to lean in towards love instead of fear. To me, in the world, it's so simple. And I have this debate a lot with people because I love to debate about all kinds of things, that there are two choices. It comes down to, for me, two choices. Choices from fear or choices from love.
I can't believe you're saying this. This is exactly what I say all the time.
Fear is encasing a lot of old patterns and old paradigms and lack, limitation. And love is so different. Compassion and empathy, understanding, patience.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's really, really difficult to be in fear when you're coming from love.
Yeah.
That's what I have found.
Yes. I used to say that about singing. I used to teach singing as well as sing myself, is that you cannot be in a bad mood when you're singing. Yeah. It changes your chemistry instantly. Like you can't sing and be in a bad mood. You just can't get the air through. You can't get the sound. You can't get the connection to the divine. You can't.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being coming from love, to me, love is not an emotion so much. It is partly, but it's also just a way of being.
Yes, it's a choice.
Yeah, and coming from love, like you're saying, making decisions in that place as opposed in the place of fear.
Yeah.
It's just everything shifts.
But we're human, aren't we? And we're here to learn. We're here to grow and expand, evolve. So that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were probably the first ones going, oh, pick me, I want to go back again. I want to learn some more. I want to do it again. I got to get it right this time.
Yeah, well, I think things have, definitely, I've learned a lot already in this lifetime for sure. And I feel like there's so much more, that's possible. I mean, I just love possibilities. Like I'm all about possibilities and what's possible. Mm-hmm. And I think anything and everything is.
Oh, so you say yes.
Oh my gosh.
Comma, and.
Yes.
Instead of, yeah, comma, but.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I'm starting to write a new book and the title is Say Yes.
Yes, comma, and. And?
And what's next? Yes,
right.
Yes. But I mean, that's like I think it's just going to be say yes and not have the and because that's comes later maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't quite gotten there yet.
Good for you. I'm glad to hear you're doing this. I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah. And
Yes.
And guess what? I'm inviting you to contribute.
Wow.
Because I want everybody's story in there.
Wow.
So it's going to be a short, not even a whole chapter. So, I mean, it's
journeys.
Unlimited, different journeys, like how saying yes. How was that for you? For me, the subtitle is how saying yes transformed my life.
Yes, me too.
And getting out of my head and into my heart.
Yeah, that's very connective because some people will relate to that. People will relate to stories instead of being talked at. People relate to, I recognize myself in that.
What was your experience of it?
Yes.
So if you would be, so kind to do that, I would love to hear your story.
Delighted.
To write it down. It doesn't have to be long. But anyway, delighted. Okay. We're practicing British accents today because our producer,
our lovely producer,
has a beautiful British accent. Maybe he'll say something at the end. We'll see.
I hope so.
We're just having too much fun. Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, this conversation, this is exactly what I think is important for people to be able to take in and, get. Like, there's so much available to us, so many resources.
There are.
And, having you as a guest, it's like you have a lot to offer people.
Well, like I said, I'm a woman of a certain age, and everything that you read about me has been a layering on. I didn't start out with my first step being all of those things.
Well, of course not.
It's just been layering on, and yes, more, and yes, layering, and yes, layering.
So say yes.
When you read that, I'm like, wow, I think I have done a few things. I think I have had a lot of interesting places that I've been. Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite thing that you do?
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. All of it. And it depends on the season and the day and the mood and the need. I am in service all the time. And sometimes that's not necessarily a good thing. I have to pull back to regroup and regenerate and not get too depleted by always being a giver.
Take care of yourself.
Women tend to do that. I don't mean to be sexist, but women tend to be, as the birth givers and the givers of life, we tend to always be giving, taking care. So we have to be mindful to replenish our own stores. But I love all of it. The writing for children's book was just inspired by having grandchildren, of which there are 6 now. I can't even believe it.
Oh, fun.
And it was to address, I was guided by my guides to address children in a way that they haven't been spoken to before about subjects that aren't in children's books, using artists that aren't children's book artists, meaning use real artists, because children get art in different ways, and subject matters like spirit animals and what happens to you when you pass, and what is love and what does it mean to be on the planet. There's not a lot of children's books like that. So when I get in that mood, I open up and I literally, the whole story and the whole conversation comes through me, and I can barely type fast enough to keep up with it. So there are some subjects that most people aren't used to for children, but you can speak to children because basically they're open portals and they get it better than we get it.
Well, they do. They also have
especially the new children coming on the planet. They get it.
Yes.
They understand completely. They know so much more than we did at their age. So that's one of my favorite. That's a pet project.
That's cool.
I don't make a lot of money doing it because I self-publish, So it's been a labor of love. And I'm also really happy in November. I have been a Lahochi practitioner for maybe 3 or 4 years through attunements from the Council of Love. That's one of my favorite things to do.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Lahochi is source. 13th octave is source. Okay. After all the circles and cycles, we get to the source. And Lahochi literally means La, light, Ho, movement, and Chi, obviously, what Chi is. And you connect to source, and I'm blessed enough to be attuned to it. I'm getting one final attunement in November with Linda Dillon and the council. I don't want to be in any other space, really, because when I'm in that space, obviously, I'm receiving it too.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm working with another precious soul, and we're doing this together. We're all doing it together.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where we're at on the climb or the mountain or the plains or the desert. We are all doing it together. I love being in that space.
Yeah.
It's so pure. It's pure love.
Yes.
It's pure love. It's such an honor to be able to share that with people.
Yeah.
Because it clears things out. It moves. The light moves through. It clears. It brings your body back into coherence. I use sound as well to help move the energy out as needed or clear the energy out as needed for replenishment, for coherence, for alignment. It's just very therapeutic.
Yeah. So it's basically a form of energy healing.
Yeah. Most people are now used to Reiki. And I was trained as a Reiki master, and that sort of started me down my path of, after being a doula, I became a Reiki. It took a few years and became a Reiki master. That started the energy journey for me.
I see.
And I like to say, with no insult intended, Lao Chi is like Reiki on steroids. It's just so powerful. Yeah. Reiki is also beautiful. I do use it as well. I use it on myself almost every night.
Yeah. Well, right. It's always good for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wasn't trained in Reiki. I did a different form of energy healing called One Light Healing Touch before I got into the shamanic work.
Yeah, I love that.
But it's all great. It's just.
And the most amazing thing that has happened, which I can't even believe, but I'm not surprised. Now, I have been a singer-songwriter, both professionally and personally, since I was a teenager practically. I sing as a way to express myself. But now, fast forward to this age, light language has been coming through for the last 2 years.
Terrific.
And I wasn't expecting it at all in meditation one day. And then I realized that's what this is. And then I had to dive deep into that. And then I had to understand it. And of course, then once I understood, I had to let go of it and surrender to it. Yeah. And let it come as it needed. And it's almost as if all the singing and usage of my voice and training and technique, it's almost like I look back, it prepared me for this. Wow. Now. Like now I have the ability to be able to deliver it in a way that I can't even believe. That is probably my favorite thing, is when light language comes through when I'm doing a bowls or a healing session.
That is so cool.
And it comes from different sources. And of course, you don't try to analyze it literally.
Right.
It's like having another attunement.
So,
and it comes through for whoever's
Well, that's
needing
what I was
it.
going to ask you. So how does it...
Just a channel.
Okay. And then, so you're actually speaking the light language it's coming through you and
Yes.
for your client.
Yes. And it can show up in many ways. As you know, it can show up through painting. It can show up through hands. Sometimes they will move with it. It can show up through vocalization and toning. It comes in a variety of ways. And I just allow it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been like, you're kidding me, but it's been amazing.
Well, I've only been to one of those sessions that JJ does at
JJ Brighton, yes.
JJ Brighton at the Angel Wing, and that was amazing.
It was.
I don't know, were you there? Well,
I was at one of them.
One of them, probably not the one I was at. But
yes. And she asked me to start speaking, and we sat there speaking together.
Oh, wow.
In light language. And I just had to cry because it was so pure.
So profound.
Yes. Of course, anybody outside of that room would have been, what the heck is going on?
Yes. It doesn't, yes, if you're not familiar.
If you're not familiar, it's different.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Well, that's pretty cool then. So
Yes.
that's your latest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So singing was the first
Yes, how I express myself
way you started
creatively,
expressing yourself.
Yes.
You still do that on a regular basis? Or?
All the time, although my voice has changed as I age. My voice has definitely changed. I can't sing what I used to sing professionally. I can't hit the high notes. I don't have the same breath, sustaining breath. But it's all okay because the way I'm using my voice now is exactly the way I need to be using it. So it's all been preparation for what's happening right
so
now.
it's more for healing now than...
I've been in bands. I've toured, sung the American Songbook. I was in a barbershop quartet.
Oh, wow.
International
fun stuff.
barbershop quartet. I've done all kinds of singing. It's just how I love to express myself.
Yeah. Well, Well, it sounds like, I guess I'm familiar with not the singing part, but just like the having lots of different modalities And whoever you're working with, it's for them. So whatever comes through or comes up, whether it's healing or different types.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's great. I'm curious also about the Melchizedek order. Can you tell me a little bit about
Melchizedek, he goes back to the Essenes. And one of the men who has been attuned to share this information, who's now in his 80s, I was attuned only recently, within the last year and a half.
Okay.
And I'm still diving into what it is and what it means. The Melchizedek order is, of course, love-based and being in service and sharing that knowledge with others if they're ready to hear it. But what I like about it is that I can do ceremony, much like the shamanic work that you can do. That's a lot of ceremonial ability. That's what I like about having the Melchizedek, that I can legally do it.
Okay. So, you mentioned something about like you can marry people and... Yeah. Okay.
Pretty fun.
So
I've only done it once, by the way. I've only married one couple.
Well, you have to get the word out there.
Well, I do it as a service. If somebody needs me, I'm willing to consider it. But I don't really want to dictate, because all of this pastiche of all of this experience, it depends on what you need.
Oh, right, of course. But if people don't know you do it, then they're not going to know to ask for it so much.
Yes, that's very true. I happen to be one of those people that is often in the background doing the healing work. Yeah. You don't know that I'm doing it, but I'm doing it all the time, and I don't really need to be in the forefront.
I got you.
And I don't need to broadcast it. If you need something, you're going to find me. The people that show up on my doorstep show up for a reason. Well, do you understand that?
I totally get that, because I'm kind of the same way. Yeah. Because I feel like people who need to work with me will find me. And the good thing about that
is unusual for me to do this. I'm not used to doing
because
this.
That's why I don't see you out there so much.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
Doing my work back quiet, behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I go back and forth.
Yeah.
I sometimes do, sometimes I don't. But I find that the people who come are the ones who really who you need to work with.
That's correct.
And the best part about that is people who don't need to work with me don't come.
Right.
You get that too. So it's like when somebody comes and you're like, okay, I guess I am meant to work with this person, even though it may not be at the beginning. You're not so sure, but yeah.
And then we're learning from them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because that exchange, that connection, we're constantly learning from each other.
There's a lot of mirroring going on.
Yes. All the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
great. I know. And I love working with groups as well, because the group dynamic is sometimes exponential. That's perfect word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, actually. The more the better, because our light is needed. We all know that on some level. We all know it. We just sometimes don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But it's needed. We're all feeling like something isn't working on the planet, and it's a little tough right now, and something different has to happen. There's a different consciousness that needs to come to the forefront. We all kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Even the most recalcitrant are feeling it. We just know.
Yeah, I agree.
We're powerful beings, truly.
Right, and if the fear can just step aside, even just for a short time, things start to shift.
They do.
People open up, people get to be vulnerable. Yeah. And as I love all the work, that's out there about the vulnerability, because if you're vulnerable, then that allows everyone else to be.
Yes.
And it has to start somewhere.
It's a big release too, to be vulnerable.
Yeah, to just let it down. It's like breathing. It's like,
right.
It feels great. Yeah. I was just talking to somebody last week about, I'd written my newsletter about balance, and it was because it was on my mind. I think because I'm taking on this new role I mentioned to you, with the Rotary Club, and how am I going to balance everything I do? And, and she was saying, well, you think about it, there's this, almost like a split going on right now in the world. And so it's hard for people, if they're over here,
Yes.
it's hard for them to come closer to the middle because the people over here are pulling. So they're pulling, so you have to pull back. You can't not pull back, and it's like, well, this is like a, catch-22, because somebody has to be the first to try to come to the middle, to see another point of view.
It's just remembering love.
It's all, well, that was the answer. That's what we came to. That's the answer, is just remembering love.
Mm-hmm.
And I just gave a client last week, you remember that classic book that Marianne Williamson wrote, Return to Love?
I do.
That was one of my favorite books for a very long, still is.
Mm-hmm.
Read it a long time ago. And I said, just read this. You'll remember. Because that's what, you're right, it's all about returning to love.
Returning to love. And get out in nature, too. Nature has a lot to share with us.
A lot of healing.
A lot of healing. Nature can heal us, does heal. There's too much science on it now for anybody to be ignoring it. You just need to get out and connect to nature, because that's what we are, in our essence.
We're all part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really beautiful.
I use that a lot when I speak about my doula work, because nature shows us all the time that things are dying and changing all the time. Right.
It's this life cycle.
It's just a life cycle. That's
nothing
right.
to be afraid of.
Nothing.
Well, we talked a lot on the last episode about your end-of-life doula care, so I don't think there's anything else to share there, but we are going to need to wrap up in about another minute.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you didn't share that you would like to?
Remember love. Just to remember who you are, a being of love. It's simple. It's elegant.
Yeah.
Just remember.
Yeah. That is beautiful, Sue. Thank you. And go in your heart and feel that love, right? And I totally feel it with you today. So thank you so much for being here.
What a pleasure.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
really,
it's so
really
good to finally be with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you to our audience for being here. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did, and we'll see you on the next Conscious Conversations. Let's put up Sue's contact info one more time before we sign off. You can contact her website, basically, SueBroudy.com. Yeah. And thank you to the Westport Library Verso Studios for hosting us, as always. And thank you to David. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Namaste.